So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Kanuku back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, February 12th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, February 12th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far today. Lots of sports news to cover today. Right before I was about to get on and do the podcast, J.J. Watt got released from the Houston Texans. That is a huge move in the NFL, and he is now available for any team to be picked up. He can be picked up from any of the NFL teams out there. I'm sure in the upcoming days we'll find out what teams are interested, what teams really need him, teams that are, going to want to, offer him a contract, teams that are going to talk to him. We're going to hear a lot about that. But that's on top for the first topic today. Really, it's kind of crazy as it sounds. This is really the first Friday where we don't have Football Friday game picks. Obviously, last week was the Super Bowl. It's crazy. It's almost already coming around a week now from the Super Bowl. But obviously, with last week being the Super Bowl, there's no more game picks for the until obviously September comes. But obviously, we got a ton of other game picks with college basketball and stuff. But yeah, Super Bowl's over, NFL's over. So Fridays now are free. Just a bunch of other sports news. And it was kind of funny because I was talking about. Originally, to start the podcast, I was planning on just talking about Chris Bryant and his Mets rumors. Obviously, the Mets have shown a very big interest in Chris Bryant and have shown that they want him. They've offered him they've not offered him, but they've talked to him and stuff. So I was going to talk about that. But then once I heard that J.J. Watt, I was like, I cannot do a pod not talk about J.J. Watt. Know it happened and then wait all the way until Monday to talk about it. I was like, I gotta talk about it, so I'm gonna talk about J.J. Watt today. As really, to be honest, the last night in sports there wasn't crazy much on. I watched a little bit of the NBA games and stuff. But other than that, there wasn't much on last night. I saw a little bit of the Rockets game, slightly. I didn't watch all that, though. But tonight, obviously, we got a lot of sports. We got the Rangers playing tonight, so I'll be watching that. Saturday, we got the Nets play. Sunday, the Rangers were going to play, but that game got postponed. And in Kentucky plays tomorrow as well at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. So that should be pretty good. We're playing Auburn. It's going to be a tough game, but, got to hope that we come out with a win. But these are the topics for today's podcast. We got Texans cut J.J. Watt, or you could say release, cut, Texans, whatever. Texans release, cut him, whatever. It's the same exact thing. J.J. Watt, as crazy as it may sound, is no longer a member of the Houston Texans. The Texans and this offseason drama and the stripping down of this team, the rebuilding of this team, the tanking of this team, many would say, continues as Watson obviously has requested a trade. Watt requested a trade, and now they did grant Watt what he wanted, and they gave him a release, and Watt is no longer a member of the Texans. So we'll be following this story a ton, depending on where he goes. And the thing is he doesn't have to wait for the new league year to begin, which is in March, to get signed. If you got cut, since he got released, he's allowed to get picked up by anyone at any time. Technically, a team could right now pick him up. But obviously, clear waivers and all that, you're going to have to negotiate with him. You're not like you could just pick him up. It's not like you just put a waiver in for J.J. Watt. He's going to want money. He's going to want a structured deal. He's not just going to want, sign me, let me go out there and play. So we'll get into that. This is huge news. I wanted to see something. Comment down below what you think it was bigger news so far. If it was rather the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade, or if it was this J.J. Watt move. Because I feel like both were huge. But in a way, I feel like they both, trades so far. They've obviously, these are the two biggest moves. But I don't know what's the biggest move so far. In terms of, in terms of team-wise and, like, NFL-wise, I think Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff was bigger. But in terms of, like, catching people's eyes and now wondering what's going to happen, I think this move. Because now you got to sit here and just wonder, where's he going to go? I personally think he's probably going to go to the Steelers, and I'll tell you why. But we'll get into it. Then we'll get into the AL East batting lineup projections. So many writers, baseball people have kind of come out now that the season's right around the corner. Have kind of come out with their projections. Obviously, I read them a couple days ago, the standing projections. I'm going to read you the batting projections. I'm going to do AL East today. On Monday, I'll do NL East. Then I'll do the entire MLB. I'll try to get to all of them. Obviously, if news gets in the way, then I'll bump it back. But by the MLB season, I should be able to get through AL East, NL East, and all that stuff. But we'll see how it goes there. And then Yankees obviously are in the AL East, so we'll talk about the Yankees lineup, kind of look at that. And then to finish out the podcast, we got college basketball, Kentucky, NBA, NHL, and fantasy. And in your rest of your New York sports update, Knicks play today, Rangers play today. I'll obviously be watching the Rangers. Nets play tomorrow. Odd schedule for the Nets. Obviously, they had a back-to-back. They had 2 days off, then a back-to-back, then 2 days off, then another back-to-back, and now 2 days off and in a game tomorrow. So the Nets have had a lot of back-to-backs, but also a lot of days off in between games, which actually helps with the scheduling because I don't have to worry about watching both, Rangers and the Nets. I only watch the Rangers tonight. Kentucky plays tomorrow. Fantasy, obviously, going pretty good. I'm winning in both leagues, fantasy hockey and basketball. We'll give you the rest of the New York sports update there. So with all that being said, this is the BSN Network podcast, and let's get right into it. So, another big move in the NFL offseason has struck as J.J. Watt to be released by the Texans after 10 seasons. And just think about it for a second. 10 seasons, J.J. Watt has gotten released from the Houston Texans and is now a free agent, is now on waivers, is now whatever you want to say, is now, many people could say, not unemployed, but not with a team. And this is very odd to say. I would not have thought this would have happened. I would have thought for sure if there would have been a guy out there, Watt probably would have been one of those guys to stay with the Texans. I just didn't think there was any reason for him to leave. He's still playing at a high level. Obviously injuries the past couple seasons have hurt him a little bit. But to be honest, this is interesting. And I'll get into the J.J. Watt thing, but I just want to first off say something about Houston sports, okay? Houston sports right now, and I'm sorry to many of those Houston fans out there, Houston sports right now are going downhill fast. It is the truth. And I don't think you can really argue. I mean, you could obviously make an argument, but I don't think many people would argue that Houston sports is in a good place right now. I'll tell you why. The Astros started this all, and we're going to go a little bit of a timeline here, then I'll get into the J.J. Watt thing. But the Astros started this all with Houston sports. When they got caught cheating, all these guys were, they got caught cheating. A.J. Hinch was fired. Cora was fired. GM gone. All that stuff. They were at the bottom. Everyone hating on them. All that. Trash cans, bang, all that stuff. They got caught cheating. Then after that, the next big thing that happened is, it's about a year apart, 2 years apart, but James Harden requested a trade, was not happy with the Houston front office. He is gone. And in a matter of a month or two, then Deshaun Watson comes out and says that he wants to be released and he wants to be out. And then J.J. Watt, a couple days later, comes out and says, you know what? I want to follow Deshaun. I want to leave as well. They released They released J.J. Watt. Deshaun Watson's still on the team. There's still anger between the GM and Watson. There's still anger between the organization and Watson. And now the Rockets stink. The Astros lost George Springer. They are always going to have that big target on their back for cheating. And then you look at now, the new member is the Houston Texans of this Houston sports failure in the past 3 years. Houston sports was at the top of the world, and not top of the world, but was really going well. The Texans, obviously, the Texans were making the playoffs. They weren't winning at all, but they were making the playoffs. The Rockets were making the playoffs. Harden won the MVP. And the Astros, we didn't know it was happening, but the Astros won the World Series. Obviously, they cheated to win the World Series, but they won it. And now, all of a sudden, Houston sports are on a downfall. Literally a downfall. And I don't know how in the world they're going to be able to bounce back, because the Rockets are about to enter a very large rebuild. In a way, the Astros, I feel, if it's not this season or next season, a rebuild is in sight for the Astros. And the Texans are just entering what I think will be a very long rebuild. And that's the interesting part, is now Houston sports are on a downfall. And I'll tell you what, Houston is losing a key member of the Houston sports world, and that is J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt has done a ton for the city of Houston, has done a ton for the Texans. I mean, this is a guy, defensive player of the year, Pro Bowler. This is a guy that's done almost everything he could. This is a guy that was as good as he was on the field as he was off, and that's one of the things I've always liked J.J. Watt. If you never knew that, but I've always been a big fan of J.J. Watt. He's just such a nice guy. He donates to a ton of stuff. When the hurricane hit and all of that stuff, he donated a ton of that money. Over there, he helps Houston. I mean, this is a guy that has done so much off the field. You can even say that he has done some more off the field than has on the field, and I really like that. I like players who do stuff off the field. The good stuff off the field. If you have problems off the field, that's when you start to become hated. But J.J. Watt never had problems. This has been a guy. He's almost been an underdog his entire life. He was walk-on at Wisconsin, got drafted. He sent a little video out after he got released just now, but when he got drafted, the Texans fans originally booed him. They originally hated the pick. He was a walk-on at Wisconsin. They originally despised the pick. They felt like they didn't even need a defensive lineman. He came on. His first couple years were just amazing. His jersey started flying off the racks, and 10 years later, we end up here where he is getting released, and he's had an excellent career with the Houston Texans. And I'll tell you what, whatever team is next, whatever team he goes on next, that team just got a whole lot better. I know a lot of people out there are going to say that J.J. Watt's out of his prime. He's not that good anymore. If you look at the numbers, they're nowhere near as he was when he first entered the league. But a part of that is he has been injured a lot. I mean, I still think he's one of the better defensive players in all the league. I still believe that. I mean, this is a guy that's just got so much raw talent. I mean, it's a guy that almost every play is getting to the quarterback. I still believe he is one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. You can come over and bash me and destroy me on that, but I still do believe that he is up there. And this is a guy that will go down as an all-time great in the Texans history books. It's the truth. I mean, it's a guy that broke so many records with the Houston Texans. It's a guy that went out there every single game and gave it all. And to be honest, I'm surprised that J.J. Watt is the first member gone of this Houston Texans team. I thought for sure it would have been Watson. But I'll tell you what, heads up, because I would not be surprised if within the next coming days, Deshaun Watson is gone. And Deshaun Watson is released. And they start this rebuild. They might want to trade Deshaun Watson instead of just release him. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start looking, because maybe they feel like now, we've lost control. Maybe they feel like now, it's just best for us to tear down. But I'll tell you what, this is a Houston Texans team that is about to enter a massive rebuild. And here's my thing. I disagree with the Texans releasing Watt. I know they wanted to release him, but if I was the Texans, I would have tried to trade it for him. The Texans front office people has made some dumb decisions in these past couple months. Really, since the 4-12 season ended, the Houston Texans made some dumb decisions. Their head coaching decision wasn't great. Their GM decision wasn't great. They haven't handled the Deshaun Watson situation very good. They have not handled the J.J. Watt situation very good. They should have, if anything, they should have traded J.J. Watt. If anything. Teams are going to ask for him. I'm sure teams would give you a good amount. They're not going to give you 5 first-round picks and 10 players, but they would probably maybe give you a late first-rounder or maybe a second-rounder and maybe like a next-year first-rounder. They would give something. They're not going to give that much, but it is really, it really is. I think it really is pretty big here. That I think if anything, they should have gotten rid of him. Traded him. Not just straight up release him, because you could have got stuff for him. And then who knows? Then maybe you get not a quarterback, but maybe you get someone else, and maybe you use that pick to fill the Deshaun Watson hole now. But I'll tell you what, this whole Watson situation and this Texans situation is going downhill quickly. And I am glad I'm not a Texans fan right now. And I know there's been so many dumb decisions the Jets have made. I could spend a whole podcast and a half talking about some of the dumb decisions the Jets have made throughout the years. But I will tell you what, this is one of the lower moments for the Houston Texans. And it's crazy. This Texans thing started right when they traded DeAndre Hopkins. My bad. They traded DeAndre Hopkins, and now you're left here without J.J. Watt, without more than likely Watson, and you're sitting here today wondering what in the world is going to happen with J.J. Watt now. And I'll tell you what, I think he's going to go to the Steelers. I really do. And I'll tell you why. His two brothers are on the Steelers, Derek Watt and T.J. Watt. I think it would be insanely cool. I think it would be very, very, very cool to see him go to a team that his brothers are on. Obviously, T.J. Watt being the main guy over there was the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year this year and had one of the best statistical years of anyone in the NFL. The guy was amazing, but, the eye test and on-the-field stuff, Aaron Donald was obviously better a little bit. But it's the truth, though. The Houston Texans here are making a big mistake. I think Watt, if I had to list some teams, I think his favorite is got to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's just because his brothers are there. And this is a guy, too, Watt, he has accomplished so much in his career that I think it's almost time for him. Who knows? Maybe he goes to a contender. Maybe he goes to a team. I'm being outrageous when I say this, but maybe he goes to a team like a Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm just saying that. Maybe he goes to a team like a Buccaneers or a Kansas City Chiefs or a Packers, a team that could, for example, Chiefs could definitely use another defensive lineman. They could use an edge rusher. Or maybe go to a Packers. They could use an edge rusher. Packers could use really a secondary, but an edge rusher. Go to a team maybe that's being a true contender, right? And maybe try to get a ring because he's never won a ring. Texans have obviously not gone a ring with him. So, we'll see what happens there. I don't think the Steelers are going to win it all. I think the Packers have a better chance than the Steelers. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think the Steelers are going to win it all until Ben Roethlisberger gets out of there. Once Ben Roethlisberger's gone and they're still a decent team with a younger quarterback, then I might consider them. But for the time being, I don't think so. I think he goes to the Steelers, though, just because of the brothers and stuff, and I think he's accomplished so much in his career. It's almost like this would be a little bit of a retirement run. He plays with his brothers. He goes out there. He's enjoying himself. He's obviously still doing it to win and stuff, but he's also doing it because he's accomplished so much in his career. Now it's kind of heading to that little bit of that retirement stage. Go play with brothers. Make NFL history. Go play with the two of them. I mean, it would literally be so cool. T.J. Watt would be on one end, and J.J. Watt would be on the other. I mean, it would be insane. That's never happened really in the NFL. But, like I said, if you would want to go to a contender, I mean, even to put it in the New York terms, I think the Jets could very well be in play. Are they going to get him? No. But could the Jets be a team that could use him? Yes. The Jets need an edge rusher. That is the Jets. Two things the Jets have never had in a very long time. A solid tight end and a good edge rusher. The last time the Jets had a solid tight end was never. And a solid edge rusher. They have not had a solid edge rusher in a very long time. Very long time. Demario Davis was decent. Mosley has shown some flashes, but he's been injured and stuff. The Jets have not had an edge rusher in a very long time. We could use a guy like a J.J. Watt. Do I think he's going to come to the Jets? No. I think he's going to go to the Steelers. But Giants, I don't know if the Giants would be in play because I think the Giants might use more of the draft to get an edge rusher. And also the cap space. J.J. Watt's got a lot of money and the Giants don't have that much of cap space. For example, a team that probably doesn't need J.J. Watt, the Texans. Or not the Texans, Buccaneers. I'm saying Texans so much here. Buccaneers. They're a team that don't need J.J. Watt. They already got Jason Pierre-Paul. If Shaquille Barrett comes back, Dominican Sue, they don't need J.J. Watt. The Rams, too, they got one of the best defensive, if not the best defensive line in the league. They don't need J.J. Watt. A team, for example, like the Falcons, not that J.J. Watt's going to go play with the Falcons, but a team like the Falcons that have no one on defense, they could use a guy like a J.J. Watt that's going to get a pressure. A team like the Seahawks that was not able to get much pressure on the quarterback outside of Jamal Adams, they could get a guy like a J.J. Watt. There's so many teams out there. I just think he's going to go to the Steelers, number one, because of his brothers there, and number two, I think because he does fit well there. They've already got one of the best defenses in the league. Add him, they could be even better. Some other teams that could be in play, the Dolphins have used a lot of draft picks to build up that defensive line, so I don't know if they would look at him. Let's go by division. AFC East. Jets definitely could be in play. Dolphins, Bills. Bills could use a run stuffer, kind of pass rusher guy. Bills definitely, I've said this, the Bills are a run stuffer and a running back away from making the Super Bowl. The Bills could use a guy like a J.J. Watt who could pass rush, play good defense, be a run stuffer, he could be a good blitzing guy. Bills could use him. There's so many teams out there that could use him. I mean, you could almost say every single NFL team could use him in some way, shape, or form. Some teams could use him more, like a Cowboys, for example. The Cowboys have a terrible terrible defense. The Cowboys do. Same thing with the Lions. So many different teams. Like I said, I don't know if here's my thing. I don't know if J.J. Watt's going to want to go to a team that's going to struggle, that's going to go 5-11 again, like a team like the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, or like a 6-10 team. And Steelers, they might make the playoffs again. They probably won't win it all, but they might make the playoffs, right? I think you would rather go to a team that is on the brink of making the playoffs, or maybe even on the brink of winning a Super Bowl. But I think the Steelers might make the playoffs again, and that might be him. But I think he's just going to go Steelers because of the brothers, making NFL history, kind of a little bit like a Brady thing here. Just instead of going to Tampa, he goes to Pittsburgh, plays with his brothers. He's done everything he could. Now let's go finish that way. We'll see. But it's going to be, tell you what, there's going to be a lot of weirdness this upcoming season with some of these players. J.J. Watt's not going to be in a Texas uniform. That's going to be odd to see. Matthew Stafford's not going to be in a Lions uniform. That's going to be odd to see. Jared Goff not in a Rams uniform. That's not going to be that odd because he only played with him for a couple seasons. But, for a guy that's played with the team for 10 years and for it to happen just like this, it's very odd. It's going to be odd to see him with another team. It was obviously a little weird even to adjust that Brady's not on the New England Patriots. That was even a little odd. But it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out with this J.J. Watt situation. I wouldn't be surprised by the next coming days he's got to deal with another team. That's how hot of a player he's going to be these next couple days. It's going to be big. So J.J. Watt to be released by Texans after 10 seasons. J.J. Watt's 10-year run with the Houston Texans will come to an end this offseason. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport first reported the Texans intended to release Watt. The three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year posted a video on Twitter to confirm the news, adding, the two sides agreed to a mutually parting of ways. Texans CEO Cal McNair issued a statement about the decision on the team's official website. Change is never easy, especially when it involves the ones you love. JJ's impact on not only our organization but the entire Houston community is unlike any player in our franchise history. I told JJ earlier this week that we will forever consider him a Texan. We take a solace in knowing that he is not a goodbye, but a see you soon for now. We will build upon the foundation that JJ created here and forge ahead with our unwavering mission to bring a championship to our city, create memorable experiences for our fans, and do great things for Houston. They're not doing great things right now for Houston. They're only failing Houston right now. Texans co-founder of Senior Chair Jansen S. McNair also issued a statement about Watt. Simply put, there has been no person in the past decade who has made a greater impact on the Texans organization than J.J. Watt. JJ's dominance on the field was unprecedented and resulted in countless moments that will go down in Texans history. To me, what best represents JJ's connection to Houston is the tradition of playing catch with the fans before every home game. The number of people who wear number 99 jerseys with smiles on their faces totally encapsulated JJ's passion for bonding with Texans fans at every possible opportunity. His commitment to the community is unlike any player in NFL history. We are forever grateful to JJ and his family. So like I said, he will go down as one of the Texans' all-time greats. I said that already here. I just find it funny how early on in the thing that they said they're doing their best to win a championship. They're only getting further from a championship. They were championship was right here 2 years ago, and they were about right here. Now they're so far, it's not even on my camera here. They are so far away. They're probably the worst team in the NFL right now. The way too early power rankings for the 2020-2021 season are out, and the Texans are actually the worst because of the drama, the bad, just stuff that's going on there. They're one of the worst teams right now, and they're getting further away from a championship. Watt seemed to acknowledge prior to Houston's Week 17 game against the Tennessee Titans that he might not be back with the team in 2021. We'll see what happens, he told reporters on December 30th. I don't have any guarantees left in my contract, so something's got to happen one way or another. I'm not sure. There's too many unknowns. I'm looking forward to playing the game on Sunday. We'll see what happens after that. Despite the uncertainty around Watt's future with the Texans, the expectation around the NFL was that the team would find a trade partner. Sports Illustrated Mike Fisher reported on January 30th that opposing teams were planning to present offers to the Texans for five-time Pro Bowler. Watt had just one more season on his current contract worth $17.5 million. The Texans won't face any cap penalties by releasing him since there's no dead money left on the deal. Since being drafted number 11 overall by the Texans in 2011, Watt established himself as the best player in franchise history. He is Houston's all-time leader in sacks, 101, and is one of the three players in NFL history to win Associated Press Defensive Player of the Year award 3 times. Lawrence Taylor and Aaron Donald are the only ones, and that's good. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, probably the best linebacker of all time, one of the best linebackers of all time, but probably between him and Ray Lewis, and an Aaron Donald as well. But like I said, that's another thing. I'm surprised they didn't trade him. You could have got a lot for Watt if you traded him. A good amount. Not a ton, but you could have got a good amount. And you'll never know whether they couldn't find a partner or whether none of the deals were good. And we didn't even really hear any rumors that teams were calling in or teams were asking. I mean, maybe the teams were kind of sitting back, waiting to see what happens. And maybe teams kind of did this. Maybe they were thinking, you know what, if we kind of just stay back here, kind of stay calm and let this situation play out, maybe they release him and we don't have to give up anything and all we have to do is just give him money. That could be an interesting thing. But there's going to be, the next couple days, it's going to be a ton of, 10 landing spots for J.J. Watt or 5 possible areas for J.J. Watt. Why J.J. Watt should go to this team. Why J.J. Watt should go to that team, right? There's going to be a lot of that, but really, I think J.J. Watt, I just think J.J. Watt deep down inside wants to play with his brothers, and that's why I think he's going to the Steelers. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know why they didn't just trade him. I mean, you could have got something for him. I don't know. It's odd. It's going to be weird, but I don't know why they didn't just trade him. They released him, obviously. But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with Watt and the rest of his free agency. But that is one interesting part of it. But like I said, he is one of the best, probably the best Texan of all time. I mean, this is a guy that did everything he could. And like I said, he's almost did more off the field than he did on the field. He's got company with Lawrence Taylor and Aaron Donald. That's some good company to be in. Obviously, you're talking about some of the best defenders to step on a football field. And this is just a guy that it's gonna be odd to see him not with the Texans. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of JJ people with JJ Watt jerseys that are gonna be wondering what to do with him because he is no longer with the team. I mean, that's a jersey though. I mean, I've had a ton of jerseys where I collect jerseys. I've had a ton of jerseys where players leave the team. I have a Jamal Adams jersey. He's obviously no longer on the Jets. I have a Sam Darnold jersey. I have also Joe Namath jersey, which is better because he won't get traded. He's obviously an all-time great for the Jets. But I have a Jamal Adams jersey. He's not on the Jets anymore. I have a Sam Darnold jersey, but it's an iffy time for him because who even knows if he's going to be on the Jets next season. I had a Nick Mangold jersey, but obviously he retired and all that, and he retired as a Jet. Some of the other stuff, let's see. I have what is some of the other stuff? As funny as it may sound, since I collect jerseys, there's so many other jerseys. Yankees jerseys, I find that I usually have the guys. Like I had a Sabathia jersey, obviously retired with the Yankees. I have a Judge jersey, he's obviously still on the Yankees. Cole jersey. So it's kind of funny because there's gonna be like Harden jerseys, for example, in Houston. There was free returns for them, and you could just give them away and stuff. But that's the one funny. But it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. I want to see why he goes to his next team. If it's the Texans, I know why. But if it's another team, and if it's like a team like the Lions, for example, who have a terrible defense, it's going to be interesting because the Lions stink. I feel like he might want to go to a team that can make the playoffs and go play with his brothers like a team like the Steelers. I feel like the Steelers would be the best spot for J.J. Watt. That's my personal opinion. So we'll see how it goes there. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, now we move on to his stats. I just want to look at his stats really quickly here. Okay, so he had 36 solo tackles. That was 151st in the NFL. 5 sacks. That was tied for 56. 2 forced fumbles. That was tied for 32nd. And 1 interception. Tied for 94th. The interception, you really can't follow that. Like I said, he only 5 sacks. But you also got to realize, he's had some injuries these past couple, games and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, he's had some injuries these past couple seasons. 8 games last season. 6. He played all games this season. But obviously, he's getting a little older now. But I mean, you look at some of the seasons where he won it all: 20 sacks, 17 sacks, 10 sacks. I mean, he was just amazing. I mean, it was really just insane to watch. 101 sacks in his career. And if he can get anywhere near that, I mean, this is going to be a steal, to be honest here. And even Watson sent something out about Watt here. He wrote, "Salute to one of the greatest of all time, J.J. Watt. I appreciate you for all your work you put in, and more importantly, the person you are. Any team in the league will be better the day you want you out on their jersey." Yeah, so that's what he wrote. But obviously, it's gonna be. I want to see what happens to Watson here. I want to see what happens to Watson and if they make a move now, because if they make a move, Watson could very well be next as a trade. I mean, maybe this is the sign of something that it's going to be real. It's going to develop. This is really going to develop. But coming up next, the AL East batting projections have came out. Lineup, whatever you want to call it, possibilities have come out, and we're going to talk about them coming up next here. Alrighty, so obviously with spring training and baseball season right around the corner, as I kind of said it the other day, spring training's right around the corner, baseball season's like right up the street, if you want to say it, a little bit farther, but only about 2 months out from the start of the MLB season, and we're only 5 days away from pitchers and catchers and spring training starting, which is obviously February 17th. It's going to be super exciting to cover it all here on podcast, but obviously a lot of stuff going around in the MLB, teams finalizing rosters, teams making these little moves here and here. Obviously, I talked about Andrew Benintendi yesterday, going to the Royals. Obviously, Red Sox, the 3-team deal with the Mets. Obviously, we talked about that. And now that, rosters are getting filled out, teams are, kind of finishing, teams are getting ready to report, players are getting ready to report. If you haven't reported yet, you're probably already on your way. Many players are, whether you're in Florida or Arizona, wherever your spring training is, for example, Yankees are in Tampa, a ton of players are already in Tampa. I know Judge is, and the reason I know that is because he was actually at the Super Bowl, and he was there, obviously, with spring training, hit up the Super Bowl, which was in Tampa Bay. Gio Urshela he already was taking some hits. Obviously it's, obviously with teams starting to fill out their rosters and stuff, you can kind of start to project the starting lineup. But here's the one thing with the starting lineups and the batting orders and the batting lineups and stuff like that. Here's the one thing is things could very well change depending on how you perform in spring training, how you come into spring training. If you're coming in, good shape, practice all off season, put in the work, you're going to be batting high. If you're coming into spring training, you look lost, you don't look like you're prepared, you're going to be batting lower in the order. But based off of what we seen on last season, based off of what teams added this season, this is what the lineups should be on opening day. It has the starting pitcher, it has which player or with the batting order, who's batting first, who's batting last, all that stuff, and it has the starting pitcher. So the AL East and the rest of the leagues came out, but I decided I'll break it down to the AL East, NL East, AL West, NL West, AL Central, NL Central, and I'll break it down. Today I did AL East. I was going to do AL East and NL East, but I just felt like that's just a lot. So I'm just going to do the AL East, starting with, I'm just going to go in order. So I guess you start with the Red Sox or the Yankees. It doesn't really matter. But the Orioles are actually first ups here. So obviously, it gives you the pitcher and stuff like that. So this is based off of their lineup right now, who they look like, and stuff like that. So here we go. We're going to start off here with we'll start off with the New York Yankees here. We'll get on over to them. Obviously, we'll start off with the New York Yankees. It's a little out of order because you have all different teams here. But let's get to the New York Yankees. So we'll start off here with the New York Yankees. And here is the projected starting lineup for the New York Yankees. Batting first and playing second base will be DJ LeMahieu. Batting second, playing right field will be Aaron Judge. Batting third, center fielder Aaron Hicks. Batting fourth, DH Giancarlo Stanton. Batting first base, and playing first base Luke Voit. That was fifth. Batting sixth will be shortstop Gleyber Torres. Batting seventh, left fielder Clint Frazier. Batting eighth, third baseman Gio Urshela. And batting ninth, catcher Gary Sanchez. And your projected starting pitcher on opening day, no surprise here, right-handed pitcher Garrett Cole will probably take the mound on opening day. No surprise there. He's our best starter. No reason why not to start him. My first look at this lineup here, and I've looked at all the lineups so far, but this is my first view of this lineup. It's very similar to last year. The only really part that's a little different is the Clint Frazier being on the opening day lineup. Brett Gardner, if you haven't realized, Brett Gardner is more than likely not going to play with the Yankees this year. They have not had any discussions with Brett Gardner. They have not had any talks with him. Brian Cashman has not talked to Brett Gardner at all. Brett Gardner has not reached out to New York Yankees. There has been no conversations. Brett Gardner is not in Tampa right now. He is not in Florida. He is probably somewhere else. So the looks it is, he's not going to be playing left field for the New York Yankees this season, which would then bring up Clint Frazier to play left field for the New York Yankees. I like this lineup, and Clint Frazier has shown, obviously, your guys, LeMahieu, Judge, Stanton, Hicks, Voit, we're not going to really talk about that much because they've been there for a while now. Those are your core five guys. That's not going to get changed much. LeMahieu, Judge have been sitting at that 1-2 hole really since LeMahieu got into this team 2 years ago. So, that's really kind of how it goes. At the bottom of the lineup, I feel it could do some moving. I don't think Gary Sanchez should be our starting catcher. I think it should be Kyle Higashioka. Especially with Garrett Cole being on the mound opening day, wanting Kyle Higashioka, I think Higgy should be the starting catcher on opening day. I disagree with Gary Sanchez being starting catcher. This is a guy who struggled last year a ton, who did not play well at all, and really just had a terrible year offensively and defensively. And now you're going to sit here and tell me Garrett Cole's not even a big fan of him catching him, and now you're going to sit here and tell me that he's going to be the starting catcher on opening day. I agree with this lineup, except for the Gary Sanchez part. I think Kyle Higashioka should be there. I like Gio Urshela lower in the lineup, but to be honest, I feel like in a way, if you put Urshela 8, Clint Frazier 7, you put more power really at that bottom. Because Gio Urshela can hit a home run, but he's more of a singles, doubles kind of guy. Clint Frazier is more of a power hitter kind of guy. So, I feel like if you put more power in that bottom lineup, that sets up the top of the lineup. You could look at it either way. But I do really like. If Clint Frazier has had a really good run with the Yankees last season, if his defense can play well, and he plays well on defense, and he fixes up some of the defensive stuff he has, this is a guy who could be a really solid player. And it's a guy who could definitely be an everyday player for the New York Yankees. And we're sitting here now today talking about how we are glad that the Yankees did not trade Clint Frazier. Obviously, there was high rumors that we were going to trade him, and to now finally have him in left field, I think is a really, really, really good opportunity to possibly him build some trade value and us to find our new left fielder. Obviously, Brett Gardner has been a staple in left field for years and years and years. He's the only guy remaining from that 2009 World Series team. And I feel like now that Clint Frazier gets a chance, he might be our next everyday right fielder. This is super, this is exciting. Like, the Yankees right now, it's a big World Series, but even, this is the things towards the future that you look at that are exciting. Like, Clint Frazier, he now can finally be our everyday left fielder. We finally now can take a look at what he's like every day. And out there, almost every game of the season, and that's really what I think is huge by this. And I really like that Clint Frazier is going to be in the lineup. Stanton DH, not surprising. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Stanton when we go to National League, because you're going to put Stanton in the outfield. you can't play DH, it's going to be a pitcher. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Stanton when we play National Leagues, and are you going to put him in, and they could do that as strategically as the Yankees want to. But we'll see how that plays out. But I, for the most part, agree with this lineup, except I would like to see Kyle Higashioka starting catcher than Gary Sanchez on opening day. And I get it, Gary Sanchez has done a lot of work in the offseason, all that, but I still think Kyle Higashioka, not even just the hitting aspect, the defensively. And your eight and the New York Yankees ace, one of the best pitchers, probably the best pitcher in the league right now, Garrett Cole. Right, he throwing to Higgy, if that's what's best for him, then put Kyle Higashioka in there. So that's really, I think that's a good solid lineup. Comment down below if you agree. The next up here would be let's see here, whatever comes next. So, let's get this up here. So, now I move on here. So, we'll go to let's actually go to the Toronto Blue Jays, because this is a lineup. Or actually, we'll just go with the Tampa Bay Rays here. Because the Blue Jays lineup is going to be fun to break down, obviously. It's going to be really, really good to see. It's really going to be interesting to see how this lineup goes. So, let's go with the Tampa Bay Rays starting lineup here. So projected lineup is batting first is DH Austin Meadows. Batting second and playing second base is Brandon Lau. Batting third playing left field will be Randy Rosarena. Batting fourth playing first base will be Ji-Man Choi. Batting fifth playing right field will be Manuel Margot. Batting sixth playing third base will be Joey Wendell. Batting seventh playing center field will be Kevin Kiermaier. Batting eighth playing catcher will be Mike Zunino. And batting ninth playing shortstop will be Taylor Walls. And starting pitcher will be Tyler Glass. Now, I agree with this lineup, except it's definitely odd to see your leadoff hitter be a DH. Because usually your DH is your power hitter, and he would usually be in that 4-5-3 hole, usually the 4 hole. But obviously with him playing, batting first, Meadows can be more of a contact guy. The only thing I would change here, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Brandon Lau, especially because he's a very consistent hitter, get on, be that leadoff kind of guy. Be that guy that's going to get on base, be quick on the base pass, steal a couple bases, be that kind of, in a way, a little bit of that utility dude. He could do a little bit of everything. I think he would be better in first. Mike Zunino down there, I agree with that. Ji-Man Choi, definitely. I think Ji-Man Choi's got to be a lock there. Kevin Kiermaier, I might only put in front of Joey Wendell only because of the power aspect. Randy Rosarena, I think that's in a good position, but you want to see if he can, really play like he did, in the playoffs and stuff. Tyler Glass, now, obviously, you gave up Charlie Morton and Blake Snell. He's really the only one. The pitching, I think, is going to be the biggest thing for the Rays. If the Rays can get their pitching down, they'll be back to making the playoffs. If their pitching stinks, they're going to be done. Because they gave up a lot. You got to remember, they did. They gave up, they gave up Blake Snell, obviously, to the Padres. And they also, Charlie Morton is now a member of the Atlanta Braves. So, you really only remaining now is Tyler Glass now. And that's not good because you're losing. They had 3 really good pitchers, and now you're only down to 1 really good pitcher. So we'll see how that plays out. But they're going to have to rely on their hitting big time this year. And if their hitting doesn't come up like it did last season, it's going to be problematic because their pitching is going to be nowhere as strong as last year. I'm not saying Tyler Glass now isn't good, but one pitcher every 5 days is not enough to win a World Series. And that's been the Yankees' biggest problem. They have not had enough pitching. We got Cole, we got Kluber, now we're adding on, and we're like, okay, we're in a good position now. Right? So, we'll see how it goes. But I agree with this lineup for the most part. I just see Brandon Lau. I don't know, something about putting a DH as your number one hitter is just odd. I just see Brandon Lau being more of a contact kind of guy, batting first there. A guy that's going to have speed on the bases. He would be that guy that's going to, he's going to take walks. He's going to be that guy that's going to be your setup guy. I feel like that would be the better situation. And then next up here, we'll go to the Toronto Blue Jays here. So the Toronto Blue Jays projected lineup here is batting first will be center fielder George Springer. Batting second will be second baseman Marcus Semien. Batting third playing shortstop will be Bo Bichette. Batting fourth and playing right field will be Teoscar Hernandez. Batting fifth and playing first base will be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Batting sixth and playing left field will be Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Batting seventh and playing third base will be Kevin Biggio. Batting eighth and playing DH will be Rowdy Tellez. And batting ninth and playing catcher will be Danny Jensen. And your starting pitcher will be Hyun-Jin Ryu. I'm going to tell you what I agree with the starting pitcher being Hyun-Jin Ryu. I agree with the first three guys, George Springer, Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette. Vladimir Guerrero, I guess you could see him in a 5-hole. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put 4, then put Teoscar Hernandez with the 5th hole, just because Vlad is primed for a breakout year and power year for him, and I feel like putting him in the 5-hole might be better there. But I'll tell you what, with the Blue Jays, man, Bo Bichette's gonna be fun to watch. I mean, he is just so much fun to watch already, and this season I feel like he's going to be even more fun to watch. Just because the fact that he is so young and he's got so much talent, he lives up to those expectations. He's going to be really fun to watch. Marcus Semien, obviously they got him. They picked him up. Good. George Springer batting first, definitely. If you really wanted to be nitpicky, you could say, Marcus Semien put first and Springer second, just because Springer might be a better hitter, and then to get a base runner on and then to have Springer have a runner on might be better. But that's when you really get nitpicky, and that's when you really start to look at every little detail. But for the most part, I agree with this lineup. I think George Springer, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero are all gonna have good years, and Marcus Semien too. That's been one of the underrated free agent signings. He gives you really good infield. He's a really good infielder. He's a very solid contact hitter. So I agree with this lineup with the Blue Jays. And then let's go here to the other teams here. So the Baltimore Orioles, their projected lineup is batting first, center fielder Cedric Mullins. Batting second, playing shortstop will be Freddie Galvis. Batting third and playing first base will be Ryan Mountcastle. Batting fourth and playing DH will be Trey Mancini. Batting fifth and playing right fielder will be Anthony Santander. Batting sixth and playing catcher will be Pedro Severino. Batting seventh and playing third base will be Ruiz. Batting eighth and playing left field will be Austin Hayes. Batting ninth and playing second base will be Yolmer Sanchez. And starting pitcher will be John Means. You look at his lineup, it's a rebuilding lineup, but Freddie Galvis was definitely their best acquisition this offseason. So you look at that lineup, very solid there. Mancini, obviously coming off of he missed last season. That's a solid hitter right there. Anthony Santander has been their best hitter last season, so I think he could definitely repeat it. Mountcastle has shown a lot of potential, talent. Still growing, though. A lot of these guys, Pedro Severino has been really good at not only defensively but offensively. But like I said, he's another young one. If he continues to learn, he could be even better. I look at this lineup as a learning lineup that has shown a lot of potential, and they just got to keep growing, which is a rebuilding team. John Means' their pitching is weak. They've got to have one of the worst rotations in the league. Their pitching is a very weak rotation right now. It's very odd. It's tough right now to be it's going to be really interesting to see how the Orioles play this thing out. But I'll tell you what, some of the guys, they don't have a terrible line. It's not terrible. It's just Johnny, like Freddie Galvis, he should make an impact on this team, So is that goes. And then for the Boston Red Sox here, your lineup here will be projected still lineup will be batting first, playing center field will be Alex Verdugo. Batting second, playing third base will be Rafael Devers. Batting third and playing shortstop will be Xander Bogaerts. Batting fourth and playing DH will be J.D. Martinez. Batting fifth and playing catcher will be Christian Vasquez. Batting sixth and playing right field will be Hunter Renfroe. Batting seventh and playing left field will be Franchi Cordero. He obviously was the one that they got in the Benintendi deal. Batting eighth and playing first base will be Bobby Dalbec. Batting ninth and playing second base will be Enrique Hernandez. And being starting pitcher will be Nathan Eovaldi. Maybe Chris Sale, maybe starting pitcher. I agree with Bogaerts, J.D. Martinez, Rafael Devers, and Alex Verdugo. Those are your probably solid guys. Hunter Renfroe was also a good pickup. Was also a good pickup as well. On there. So, that would make things interesting to see how that goes. Rafael Devers is one of the youngest, most brightest stars in the league right now. So, that's going to be fun to see how he develops. J.D. Martinez with all the trade rumors last season, now that, it looks like he will be, staying put there. That's a power hitter, which is right in the 4 hole, which is in the right spot. Xander Bogaerts has been with that team for a long time. He's one of the only remaining players from that, that Mookie Betts team and stuff like that. So that's what I got there. But Xander Bogaerts, obviously probably the best guy in that lineup. And Rafael Devers. But yeah, and as for, like I said, what the heck? Let's see. And as I said with the Yankees, right? Like, I agree with the Yankees. I just think Higgy would probably be the better option at catcher, right? I think that's just better because Cole pitches better with him there, and I think that's just when he pitches better there, you got to take advantage of that, So, but that's what I think there. Like I said, Cole and Higgy and Urshela and Yankees with Judge and LeMahieu and stuff like that. It's gonna be a good lineup there. But that's what I got there for the lineups. Now we move on to the other stuff here. So college basketball. Yesterday, Minnesota won and USC won. Today we got Illinois, Nebraska give Illinois the win. Tomorrow a ton of games on tomorrow. Tomorrow we got Ohio State and Indiana give Ohio State the win. Oklahoma State, Kansas State give Oklahoma State the win. Loyola. Is that Loyola Chicago? Yeah, Loyola, Illinois. Wow. Loyola's ranked. That was the team that made the run. Loyola, Illinois, and Drake, or Loyola, Chicago, and Drake. I would give Loyola the win. Florida State, Wake Forest give Florida State the win. Oklahoma, West Virginia give Oklahoma the win. Texas, TCU give Texas the win. Tennessee, LSU give Tennessee the win. Iowa, Michigan State give Iowa the win. Alabama, Georgia give Alabama the win. Missouri, Arkansas give Missouri the win. Rutgers, Northwestern give Rutgers the win. Villanova, Crane give Villanova the win. Gonzaga, San Francisco give Gonzaga the win. UNC, Virginia give Virginia the win. And North Carolina, Virginia, obviously. And then USC, Washington give USC the win. Virginia, here's the thing with, those teams are interesting. Virginia, though, is having a better year. North Carolina is getting hot of late. North Carolina has been better of late, but I think Virginia might just be probably the better team there. And as for the Kentucky game, Kentucky plays tomorrow. Kentucky plays tomorrow. Kentucky comes to this game 5-13. Auburn comes to this game 11-10. Kentucky tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This game is on CBS. I really like when the games are on CBS. As much as I hate to say it, I don't foresee Kentucky winning this game. In a way, I guess I do. This is like a 50-50 because we almost beat Auburn the last time we played them. We showed a lot of really good fight when we played, Arkansas the last game we just played. But and in Tennessee, we just gotta start finishing games. And I feel like this game's close, and I feel like close games for Kentucky just don't work. So I guess I'll just give them a win. We have to learn how to finish games. If we learn how to finish games and we learn how to play, basketball comes down to the final about 2 minutes of the game. Right? College, pro, every level of basketball, it really comes down to the final 2 minutes of the game. And Kentucky has not been able to, play well in the final 2 to 4 minutes of the game. And that's not good. So we got to be better with that. And as for Sunday, we got Memphis, Houston, we got Michigan, Wisconsin, give Michigan the win. Loyola again, and Drake, I'll give Loyola the win. Let's see. So, so there we go. So, as for the NBA here, yesterday the Heat won, Celtics won, Pacers won, Trailblazers won, Warriors won. Today we got the Knicks, Wizards, give Wizards the win. Hornets, Trailblazers, give Hornets the win. Pelicans, Mavericks, give Mavericks the win. Hawks, Spurs, give Hawks the win. Clippers, Bulls, give Clippers the win. Celtics, Pistons, give Celtics the win. Bucks, Jazz, give Jazz the win. Thunder, Nuggets, give Nuggets the win. Trailblazers, Cavs, give Trailblazers the win. Lakers, Grizzlies, give Lakers the win. And Kings, Magic, give Kings the win. And as for tomorrow's game, 76ers, Suns, give 76ers the win. Pacers, Hawks, give Pacers the win. Knicks, Rockets, give Rockets the win. Heat, Jazz, give Heat the win. Or Jazz the win. Alrighty, so, so as for the Nets here, Nets play tomorrow. Nets come in this game 15-12. Warriors come in this game 14-12. Tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. I'll give the Nets the win. They get KD back. And also, Warriors are above 500. The Nets play better against those teams. And then as for on Sunday, Wizards, Celtics give Wizards the win. Pelicans, Pistons give Pelicans the win. Hornets, Spurs give Spurs the win. Timberwolves, Raptors give Raptors the win. Mavericks, Trailblazers give Trailblazers the win. Bucks, Thunder give Bucks the win. Grizzlies, Kings give Kings the win. Suns, Magic give Suns the win. Cavs, Clippers give Clippers the win. And Nuggets, Lakers give Lakers the win. And that's that. So, and as for the NHL here, yesterday, the Panthers won, Penguins won, Blue Jackets won, Oilers won, Predators won, Jets won, Hurricanes won, Ducks won, Flames won, and Kings won. And today, we got Blues, Coyotes give Blues the win. Rangers also play today. Rangers versus Bruins. Bruins come in this game 9-1-2. Rangers come in this game 4-5-3. This game comes on today, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NHL Network. And you could also find this game on MSG Plus as well. Rangers, obviously, tough loss last game. Bruins are, we played the Bruins last game. We play them again here. The Bruins are, the best team in the league. Probably one of the best teams. I mean, they're 9-1-2. The Bruins are, we obviously played the Bruins on Wednesday and lost that game. And we play them again today. We came close to beating one of the best teams in the league. And the Bruins are, a good team. They're a very, very, very good team. The way we fought that game was good. The over-under is 5.5 for this game. With the Rangers, it's goaltending, it's stopping breakaways, it's making mistakes. It's just the little things with the Rangers. If we clean up some of those little things, if we clean up a little bit of those little things, we'll see how it goes. But, we got to find a way to, clean up the little things, clean up the mistakes. And if we do that, then I would say they will win the game. But we got to clean up the mistakes. That's really the big thing. So, they got to play good goaltending. They got to, do that stuff. So I give them a winner. And as for fantasy basketball and hockey here, fantasy basketball, I'm winning 1,036 to 848. So going pretty good there. Today I got Kemba Walker, Bradley Beal, Jeremy Grant, Jonas Valanciunas, Trae Young, and Anthony Davis. My injury report here is Bradley Beal's day-to-day. Beal rest has been ruled out for Friday's game against the Knicks, so he will not be playing there. Anthony Davis is also day-to-day. Davis' Achilles is questionable for Friday's game against the Grizzlies. Jovan Buha of The Athletic reports. Victor Oladipo is also day-to-day. Oladipo foot ankle will not return to Thursday's game against the Heat. Jonathan Fijan of the Houston Chronicle reports. So that's that. That was obviously yesterday's game. So, now I move on to fantasy hockey here. In fantasy hockey, I'm winning 102 to 80, so going pretty good there. And I'm currently have the most points in the league, and I'm currently the 1 seed in the league. So going pretty good there. My lineup today, I've got Mika Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, Braden Sheen, and that's it. Injury report. Artemi Panarin's day-to-day. Head coach David Quinn said that Panarin suffered a little bit of a lower body injury during Wednesday's loss to the Rangers. Vince Z. Mercongliano of USA Today reports. So I already read that already, but, we'll see how it goes there. Shea Theodore is also day-to-day. Theodore, undisclosed, will not be available for Thursday's contest against Anaheim. David Chione of the Las Vegas Review-Journal reports. So that's that. Steven Stamkos is also day-to-day. Stamkos' lower body isn't on the ice for warm-ups and won't play in Thursday's game against Florida. So that was that. And, So obviously that's what I got there for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was a really good. It was a good podcast. Obviously was a good podcast. A lot of sports, a lot of really, really, really good sports, and that's great. Especially for the podcast, a lot of really good sports. Especially with even football. Without football, you still have basketball and hockey and baseball around the corner. So that's obviously always a good thing there. So with all that being said, this is the BSN Hour podcast, and that will do it for the podcast here today. As you all know, I take breaks on the weekend, so I will see you all back here on Monday. But everyone, enjoy your weekend. I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.